Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of you have been asking us to connect this to men's mental health today, and I think
Yeah.
it's a really great idea. So this guy, Viktor Frankl, he was a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust,
Right.
and his book is about how to find meaning even in the most brutal situations.
Yeah, it's an incredible book.
So we're going to kind of go through some of his experiences and insights and try to connect that to how men can use this information
Okay.
to improve their mental health.
Sounds good. I'm excited for this one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what is so powerful about this book is that he doesn't just tell his story.
Right.
He gives us a framework for understanding the human need for meaning.
Yeah. And one of the things that he observed was this thing that he called the existential vacuum, this feeling of emptiness and lack of purpose.
Okay.
And he saw this all around him in the 20th century. And it's
Yeah.
definitely something that a lot of men are grappling with today.
Okay, so existential vacuum. What does that actually look like in a guy's life?
Well, think about it this way. Like a lot of men today struggle with depression, aggression, even addiction.
Yeah.
Frankl would say that a lot of these issues stem from a lack of meaning, this sense of what's the point. He even coined this term Sunday neurosis to describe this feeling.
Sunday neurosis. I think
Yeah.
we can all relate to that.
Exactly. So Frankl noticed that people, especially those who tied their entire identity to their work, felt this emptiness and anxiety on Sundays.
Yeah.
And for men especially, there's this huge pressure to succeed, to achieve, to be the provider. So when the work weekends and that external source of meaning kind of disappears, they're left with this void.
Like their purpose goes on vacation too.
Exactly. And they're just left there wondering what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this isn't just some random observation. Frankl actually pointed to statistical surveys that show a significant number of people feeling this lack of meaning. It's a pretty widespread experience. And given the expectations that society places on men, they might be particularly vulnerable to it.
So if this existential vacuum is the problem, what did Frankl see as the solution?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. Frankl believed that the driving force in us isn't pleasure, as some other psychologists thought, but the will to meaning. This is huge for men's mental health.
Okay.
Because if they're constantly chasing achievements or fleeting pleasures, it can leave them feeling empty, like they're missing something deeper.
So it's about finding a purpose.
Yeah.
Something that gives their life direction and meaning.
Right.
Beyond just checking things off a to-do list.
Exactly. And Frankl goes even deeper. He talks about this thing called new dynamics.
No dynamics. What is that?
It's this tension that exists between us and the meaningful goals that we're striving for.
Okay.
And he uses this analogy of like a weak archway that actually gets stronger when you add more wheat to it. Sounds counterintuitive, but it illustrates how embracing challenges can lead to growth and resilience.
So instead of trying to avoid the hard stuff, we actually need those challenges to become stronger.
Exactly. And this is where Frankl's own experiences in the concentration camps become so powerful.
Okay.
Think about it. He found meaning in a concentration camp. He and others found ways to hold on to their humanity, even in the midst of unimaginable suffering.
I'm ready for some examples because that sounds pretty impossible. How do they actually do that?
Well, Frankl talks about finding solace in his love for his wife, even though they were separated.
Okay.
He would have these mental conversations with her, finding strength in that connection.
Wow.
He also found moments of beauty in nature, in art, in small acts of kindness from other prisoners. It's about choosing how you respond to suffering, maintaining your dignity and purpose even in the face of unimaginable cruelty.
So even when surrounded by unimaginable suffering, they were still able to find these little sparks of meaning to hold on to.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about fleeting moments. Frankl believed in this thing called a super meaning, a larger purpose that might be beyond our complete understanding, but provides a foundation for faith and hope.
Okay.
He tells a story about a rabbi whose children were killed in the Holocaust, yet he continued to find meaning in his faith. It shows that even when facing profound loss, there's still a reason to keep going.
That's incredibly powerful. But
Yeah.
how do we apply these seemingly superhuman insights to regular guys today? Finding meaning in a concentration camp is one thing.
Right.
But what about dealing with work stress,
Right.
relationships, and feeling like you're not good enough?
That's the million-dollar question, right? How do we bridge that gap? Well, thankfully, Frankl provides a framework. He outlines 3 categories of values that can help us cultivate meaning:
Okay.
creative, experiential, and attitudinal.
Okay, so let's dive into those a little bit. What exactly are creative values? And how do those apply to a guy who's feeling lost or unfulfilled?
Well, creative values are all about finding purpose through creation and contribution. It could be through your work, your hobbies,
Mm.
anything where you're using your talents to make a positive impact on the world.
So if a guy is feeling stuck in a dead-end job,
Mhm.
maybe it's not about finding the perfect career right away.
Right.
It's about finding ways to make his current work more meaningful,
Right.
or exploring creative outlets outside of work.
Exactly. And remember what we were talking about with Frankl's emphasis on the uniqueness and singleness of each person.
Yeah.
You bring something unique to the table,
Mhm.
and tapping into that can be a really powerful source of meaning.
Yeah.
It's about finding your way to contribute.
So finding your own creative outlet, your own unique way to leave your mark on the world.
Yeah.
I like that. What about experiential values? How do those fit in?
Experiential values are about being present, savoring life's experiences, and finding joy in the simple things. It's about love, connection, appreciating nature, art, music, all those things that make life rich and vibrant.
This sounds like a good antidote to the always striving, never arriving mentality that a lot of men get caught up in.
It absolutely is. Instead of constantly chasing that next goal, it's about appreciating what you have right now,
Mm.
finding beauty in your surroundings, and nurturing those relationships that matter most.
So for a guy who's feeling isolated or lonely, this could be a game changer.
Absolutely. Experiential values remind us that meaning isn't always about achieving something. It's about connecting, experiencing, and appreciating the world around us.
Okay, that brings us to attitudinal values.
Yeah.
This is where Frankl's experience in the concentration camps
Right.
really comes into play, right?
Yes, this is about courage, dignity,
Mm-hmm.
and finding meaning even in the face of unavoidable suffering. Frankl is telling us that pain and loss are inevitable parts of life, but we still have the freedom to choose how we respond.
So even when things are falling apart around us,
Yeah,
we still have a choice in how we face those challenges.
exactly. It's about acknowledging the struggles, but finding meaning in your resilience, your choice to keep going, to find a way through the darkness.
That's a powerful message for men who are often told to just man up and suppress their emotions. Frankl is saying it's okay to feel the pain, to acknowledge the struggles, but don't let them define you.
Absolutely. And this ties back into the idea of the super meaning. Even when we can't understand why something terrible has happened, we can find strength and even transcendence in choosing how we respond. Think about that rabbi whose children were murdered. He found a way to hold on to his faith, to find meaning in his continued service to God. It's about finding that inner strength to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead seems dark and uncertain.
So it's not just about finding that meaning for yourself. It's about taking responsibility for our actions and contributing to a more just and compassionate world.
Right. Frankl's message goes beyond just individual mental health. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and striving to make the world a better place.
There's a lot to unpack here. Frankl's insights are so profound and wide-ranging, it's hard to know where to even begin applying them.
He understood that. Frankl didn't try to create a step-by-step guide to finding meaning. Instead, he offered a framework, a new way of thinking about our lives, our challenges, and our potential.
So how do we take these big, profound ideas and actually turn them into positive changes in our lives, especially when it comes to something as complex as men's mental health?
Well, it starts with a shift in perspective.
Okay.
Frankl reminds us that we're not just products of our circumstances. We have the power to choose, to act, to create meaning, even when things feel completely out of our control.
So it's about finding that agency, that inner strength, even when the world feels like it's crashing down around you.
Exactly. And it's not about pretending everything is okay or denying the pain. It's about finding that resilience, that commitment to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead is uncertain.
Frankl would often ask his patients this question: what is life asking of you? That's a pretty powerful question to reflect on.
It really is. It shifts the focus from what do I want to what is my purpose? What is my responsibility in this moment?
Right.
It's a call to step up, to engage with life, and to make a difference.
It's like a reminder that we're not just passive passengers on this ride. We have the power to steer, to navigate, to create a life that's worth living.
And that power comes from within. It's not about external achievements or material possessions. It's about cultivating that inner strength, that sense of purpose, that connection to something larger than yourself.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the existential vacuum to the will to meaning, from the horrors of the Holocaust to the challenges men face in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Frankl's work offers this timeless wisdom, a guide for navigating the complexities of life.
It does. And, while his experiences were extraordinary, his message is something we can all relate to. It's about the human spirit, the power we all have to choose meaning, to find resilience, and to create a life that feels purposeful.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into man's search for meaning, I want to leave you with one final thought from Frankl himself. He said, live as if you are living already for the second time, and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you're about to act now.
That's a powerful challenge. It's a reminder to live intentionally, to make choices that align with our values, and to take responsibility for our impact on the world.
Because in the end, it's not just about finding meaning, it's about creating it. So to everyone listening, we encourage you to pick up a copy of Man's Search for Meaning and explore Frankl's ideas for yourself. And until next time, keep searching, keep striving, and keep creating a life filled with meaning and purpose. We'll see you on our next deep dive.